Welcome to today's live stream. Yes, 5 things you need to know about shares when setting up a company in Nigeria. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Tosi Omotosho. I'm a business and real estate lawyer, and on this channel I share business and real estate tips in easy to understand language. So today we're talking about setting up a company in Nigeria, and we are focusing on this question I get asked all the time about shares. On my channel I have a lot of videos on types of companies, why you should register a company, the details you need to register a company. I will leave the links to those videos up here. However, when you're setting up a limited liability company, one of the things that distinguishes that company is the fact that the company has a share capital. You need a share capital to register a limited liability company in Nigeria, and you need to know about shares. So I get questions like, how do I allocate shares? What exactly is shares? How do I know which shares to what's the formula to allocating shares? How do I know which share capital is appropriate for my business? Today we're doing a deep dive into all that. All right, so the first thing you need to know about shares is a unit of ownership. And I love to use this analogy. So you have a pan of pizza. It could be a pan of pizza to 2 people, all right? If it is to 2 people, you could share it into half, or maybe someone could even have a larger share than another person. But of course, the pan belongs to both of you. It's the same thing with share capital. So the share capital represents the capital of the company, and the people who own the shares are called the shareholders. And the unit of ownership depends on the number of shares they have. So let's make this a lot more practical with this example. Let's say you have a company you are setting up, or you have set up, and the share capital is 1 million naira. The share capital is 1 million naira. Please note that share capital doesn't mean that's the exact amount of funds with which you're starting business, all right? It's a representation when you register your business. It could be far higher than that, and it could be lesser, all right? So you have 1 million and you have 2 shareholders. Awesome, you have 2 shareholders. The 2 shareholders, you could decide that one shareholder would hold maybe 80% of the shares and another holds 20%. There's no law to this. So each shareholder's unit of ownership is determined by the shares they own. So the person who has 800,000 out of the 1 million shares, that's 80% of the company, owns 80% of the company. That's why you hear people say, oh, he owns a 10% equity stake, he owns a 50% of the company. That's what they mean. It's by the shares. It's the shares that determine the ownership. So shares is a unit of ownership. That's the first thing you need to know. Now the second point is that shares is property, and I need to emphasize on this. I remember before the Company and Allied Matters Act changed, where you can then register a company with just one person, you usually have to have at least 2 shareholders. So what used to happen then, you have solo founders who are the only people who actually are running the business, who actually are the only people putting down something. Because they want to satisfy that requirement, they then get someone else on board. So maybe they just get a friend or somebody and they give the person some shares. And I would say this example so it makes it clearer. So I had a call from an elderly client of mine who had set up his company many years back. And he said, Mrs. Omotosho, I've had this company for years. I have this co-founder, is a shareholder. So a co-founder is someone you set up the company with right from the beginning. But I just put his name. He's not really doing anything. It's not like he's done anything for this company. Can I remove him? And then I told him, sir, shares is property. You know, when you sell land to somebody, you can't go back and say, give me my land again. They're going to hold that person for trespass. Yes, they'll file a suit against the person, both a civil and a criminal case, because you've sold it. It no longer belongs to you. So it's the same with shares. Once shares has been given out, you can't take it back. At most, what you could do is to negotiate a buyback. So if the other party agrees to sell to you on whatever terms, then you can have the shares can come back to the company or go back to a shareholder. So shares is property, all right? Shares is property. Never forget that. And it's very important that before you give out shares, you should note these points, all right? So that you won't be like in that situation where my client had called to say he wants to get his shares back. You get my point now. Now, what you give determines what you get. So there's no formula to share allocating shares. All right, there's no formula, but it should be based on what you're giving. You're contributing to the capital of the company. And note that capital doesn't necessarily have to be money all the time. I know most of the times when we think of capital, we're thinking cash. Okay, we want to start this business, we need 500 million and we need the cash. So whoever can give us the cash, they will be shareholders. No. Capital could also be machinery. It could be infrastructure. For instance, 3 friends want to start a business and they have a lot of things they need. So they need maybe money for inventory. Or let's say there's even a services business and they don't really need money. Maybe they need an office space. Okay, they need to furnish the place. And one of them says, I would provide that. That's providing capital. It could be expertise. Oftentimes when you have people found businesses, especially when they are bootstrapping, they are usually the first set of employees. So you are the CEO. You are the chief everything officer, not just the chief executive officer. You are the one doing all the jobs. You are the one who would do sales, do marketing, do finance, operations, everything. All right. So when you have someone who is coming on board to give their expertise, they're also contributing to the capital of that company. And based on that, you could allocate them shares. All right. So what you give should determine what you get. So you have to sit down and decide. And please note that the process of allocating shares is not something you do off your head or just do on a whim or do with sentiments. All right. You have to know who thank you for supporting our business team. Yes, it's not a thank you for supporting our business team. So you have to understand. All right. So I've talked about 3 points now. That shares is property, number 1. Number 2, shares is a unit of ownership. And then number 3, what you give is what you get. The 4th point is that there's no formula. There is no formula for, I don't have a formula. What I do for my clients is to guide them. So we have a talk. I would ask them, what are you contributing? What are you giving? If this company were a 10, what will you be putting in it? What's number? If you on a scale of 1 to 10, what number would you be contributing? What will you be contributing? And clarity. Clarity is very important in business, all right? So never forget that when you're allocating your shares. Clarity is very important. Now, the 5th point is that you should do share vesting. And this is important. Let me tell you a story. Almost, this is the scenario that I'm told about almost every time. So a co-founder, just like I said, 2 people set up a business. And maybe they've agreed that, okay, we're bootstrapping, so we'll be the first set of employees and we'll grow this business. And they've allocated shares on that basis. And second, third year, the second co-founder decides that, okay, get an offer. It might not even be that he or she decides. Get an offer to work at Silicon Valley, and up he goes. And the other co-founder is left in the cold. The person that has left has shares, all right? So it's still technically a part owner of that company. So we've had instances like that where the other co-founder will leave, and the remaining co-founder is left to do all the work. But of course, because they've been giving those shares up front, they will still be entitled to dividends. So what do you do in such a scenario? You do share vesting, all right? So you don't give all the shares at once. If, for instance, you've agreed that you will be getting 20% of this company over a period of 4 years. You want to split it over those 4 years. And so it will be 5% for the first year, the second year 5, the third 5, the last. So if the person does 2 years alone, they get what they worked for. All right, so this is one thing that you can use to avoid scenarios like that. Yes, so has this been helpful? Let me know in the comment section. And if you have learned a lot about on this live session, then I'm inviting you to a free masterclass I'm holding, and it's titled "Don't Lose Your Business: 7 Vital Parts of Setting Up a Company in Nigeria." So when you are setting up a company, we talked about shares. Now there are many other parts to it. I will be talking about 7 other parts, and they include setting up a board that works. Do you know there are 2 types of boards that you can set up for your company? They include drafting the first constitution of the company. Thank you, Mr. Demisoye. Drafting the first constitution of your company, how to name your company, what are the naming rules you must not miss, all right? Share capital, because you have to know the share capital of your company. I've talked about shares, but I didn't talk about share capital, and it depends on the type of business you do. So you need to learn about that too. What? Raising funds. You need to learn about raising funds. Choosing co-founders and your shareholders, you need to learn about that, and how to protect your interests. In that free masterclass, you would be getting information on all these. And the best part is I'm sharing on that masterclass what I've never shared anywhere else, either on YouTube or Instagram or any of my social media channels. So if you check the link in the description box, you can get a free invite to join the class. And I have just 100 seats. 50 are already taken. So that is that for today. Please, can you speak on registering a foreign company in Nigeria? It's part of what we'll be talking about in the masterclass on July 30th. Yes, it holds on July 30th. So make sure you sign up. Having foreigners on board as your co-founders is part of what we're talking about, Mr. Ademisoye. All right, so thank you for joining in. And at the end of this video, I have another video you should watch. All right, so stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.